How do you watch time? Probably on your phone like everyone else. Or maybe your computer screen, your tablet, your smartwatch, wall clock. Or maybe you still wear a traditional wristwatch. In that case, you're probably into jewelry because in this day and age, that's all a watch is for. And to be fair, even smartwatches don't fall far from this. They are technical gadgets where you can check messages, social media, your heartbeat, listen to music, and yeah, even watch the time. But this is, of course, a modern development. Before smartphones, we had digital watches all over the place. Some of them even had calculators. And before those, we had mechanical watches, later on wrists but formerly on pockets, and both deriving from the even older mechanical clocks. But what came before that? You might have an idea, but with thousands of years of history, time watching went through a very long evolutionary process. So welcome back to the Design Quickie, where I give you some personal insights into design for brands in a time-efficient way. And we'll find out how we watch time. The need to keep time arrived as civilizations became more complex. People needed to track time for agriculture, religious practices, trade, bureaucracy, and just everyday life. And the first time measuring devices were sundials, or more precisely, their early versions known as shadow clocks. These appeared around 1500 BCE in Egypt and consisted on a gnomon, or stick, that would cast a shadow into a marked dial. The shadow would change position as the day progressed, indicating the time with good accuracy, at least during the day. Other iterations did not have that problem. The clepsydra, or water clock, appeared between the 16 and the 1200s BCE and consisted of a bowl marked with lines representing equal measures of time. The water would flow either in or out of the bowl at a consistent speed, revealing or hiding the lines and allowing the observer to check on the time without the need of sunlight. These might sound like ancient devices, but they persisted for a long part of our history, with water clocks dating from the 12th century and sundials from the 1700s. And in that period, other timekeeping mechanisms appeared, like for example, candles. Yes, candle clocks were a big deal in the Middle Ages across the world. Though we don't know where they were first used, the earliest descriptions come from China in the 500s, but they were also prevalent in medieval churches, with its creation attributed to Alfred the Great, King of Wessex, who used 6 candles that would burn in succession to mark a period of 24 hours. And in Mesopotamia, Al-Jazari described his own system for a candle clock that involved a complex weight contraption, falling marbles that marked the time, and a human worker that would cut the burnt wick at every hour throughout the night. And of course, there was the hourglass. Appearing in Europe in the late Middle Ages, it was one of the few reliable methods of measuring time at sea, which is why it was used in ships since the 11th century. And with the age of the Great Navigation, it became a standard timekeeping tool for seafaring, yes, but also for a wide range of uses, like churches, industry, and also in cooking. It was the first reliable and reusable timekeeping mechanism, so much so it took over many symbolic meanings and was adopted by different civilizations, like the Chinese in the 16th century. But the greatest timekeeping revolution of the Middle Ages happened in the 13th century. It was called the verge escapement, the first mechanism to allow a gear train to advance at regular intervals. This made possible the creation of the first mechanical clocks. Funny enough, many of the early ones didn't have faces or arms. Instead, they were installed in church towers and rung bells at canonical hours, so people would know the time for prayers and services. But the full-face clocks spread quickly among church towers in the early 1300s, especially in England, France, and Italy. Some of them even had astronomical functions, showing the positions of the sun, the phases of the moon, and sometimes even indicating tides on a specific region. And from there, the mechanical clocks just kept evolving. The early 15th century saw the emergence of the spring-driven clocks, which could be built in smaller, more portable sizes. In the 17th century, Christian Huygens created the pendulum clock, a more accurate mechanism. Huygens also worked with Robert Hooke on the development of the spiral balance spring, or hairspring, which allowed Thomas Tompion to develop the first pocket watches. In the 18th century, the need for precise timekeeping in navigation led to the creation of the first chronometer by John Harrison. And in the 19th century, the first electric clocks appeared, first powered by dry pile batteries, then by electric current. And by the 1880s, the Franco-Prussian War saw the creation of the wristwatch, a more practical tool for timekeeping used in combat. They were originally just standard pocket watches attached to leather straps, but quickly evolved into the models we know today by the early 20th century. And the following years saw major revolutions in timekeeping. The quartz clocks used an oscillator made from crystalline quartz to create the most accurate mechanisms of their time, at least until the invention of the atomic clocks, which took that title and have kept it to this day. But we also saw the development of digital clocks in the second half of the century, which eventually were incorporated into other digital devices, such as radios, cars, computers, and cell phones. And you probably know where this led to, because the dawn of the 21st century brought the digital revolution, where computers, gadgets, and smartphones became the standard. And with everything connected to the internet, timekeeping is now done by cellular networks and centralized OS providers like Apple, Google, or Microsoft. And many of them, like GPS and navigation systems, rely on satellites, which have several internal atomic clocks, which transmit and sync across billions of connected devices. And so, over many years and with a lot of technology, we brought time to the palm of our hands, into our little connected blocks. And if you like this video, check my other ones. You might find them interesting as well. Thanks for watching.